West Ham have agreed a deal with Aston Villa for the loan of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Is it an option? Is it an obligation? We're going to get into all of that. To Debo is also looking like a deal has been agreed to loan him to Marseille. Fulkrug is also being loaned as well. And my mind's gone blank on where he's gone.
Werder Bremen, isn't it?
Werder Bremen, yes, that was it. Werder Bremen, he's gone. Piero apparently is having a medical book, so there is someone coming in. But mate, we loaning players out.
Mate, you couldn't make this up, did you? A paper thin squad, and what's that? 4 going out the door, and 1 coming in.
Yeah,
it's concerning, mate. It's concerning. This we touched on it yesterday, but I'm like what Nicky said yesterday. You don't want to be here, then let's get you out the door, right? But it's took far too long to get players like Fulkrug, Wan-Bissaka, and the like out this door, because we've known, we knew Talibo was never going to play for Nuno again at the end of last season, and as soon as we kept Nuno, we should have been suiting him out the door and suiting people out the door, and this is the big issue we've got now. We're left with this really, really thin squad. The 11 seems okay, but now it's panic stations, mate, and this is really, really worrying me. I'm glad to see the back of these players, because they don't want to be here, and we don't want anyone here who doesn't want to be here, and that's a big chunk of money we're saving.
But the thing is, the deal has to be right for West Ham. Now let's go into the Wan-Bissaka thing, right? So X and Fabrizio used the word mandatory. Mm-hmm. X used the word obligation. I'm assuming they mean the same thing. Yeah. I don't know why Fabrizio's used the word mandatory, other than maybe English is his second language. But the Athletic are reporting that is an option with certain clauses that turn it into an obligation, or when it comes to the loan fee. So basically, that's like an extra bit of information that maybe the others have. Conditional obligation, right? So we don't know what those conditions are. Now, I'm concerned because, say it's appearance fee. Like, we know that Wan-Bissaka's not going to be ahead of Matty Cash. Like, he's going to be a bench player for them. So, and look, they're in Europe, so they are going to be playing a lot of football. So you hope that we just have to hope that the conditions are easily achievable.
Yeah.
Because what good does it do for West Ham to lose a player, whether he wants to be here or not, and not get any fee back? We're not going to benefit fee-wise this season when it comes to FFP, and we need the money.
Yep.
So at the very least, you want to feel like, okay, we know we're getting 20 odd mil, because I think they wanted to offer 18. We wanted 20 plus 5 million in clauses. So
yeah, it's a bit silly in a way when you look at scribbling over 2 million of a fee. Maybe they weren't offering the clauses on top of the 18, but like you're right in what you're saying, mate. You're not guaranteed anything. You're making a short-term saving by getting the wages off the bill for this season, but we're not benefiting from it. He's a player that, if he wanted to be here, would go straight into the first team. Kyle Walker-Peters has done really well, but Wan-Bissaka's a better player, but he doesn't want to be here. So it's worrying that we're not going to benefit from that way. And then we saw last season with Villa with Harvey Elliott. They put these clauses in, and then he didn't end up playing, and then he's gone back to Liverpool. And then you've looking at that. Okay, if this is a similar clauses that you get in Wan-Bissaka, and we're getting him back next season if we are promoted into the Premier League, and he then decides, because we're in the Premier League, wants to say, we've got a player who's missed out on a hell of a lot of football because of the clauses that are put in place. So it isn't.
You get that sometimes managers are pressured not to play someone. Like, if he don't hit the ground running, they think we don't want him. Yeah, we've seen it at West Ham.
Yeah.
So you never know. We really need to find out what these clauses are, these conditions are. Shout out to Harrison for $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Harrison. Really appreciate that, mate. Very kind of you. Don't get me wrong, I'm worried too, but this is years of bad squad and club management. Fixing the shit show that David Sullivan, Karen Brady, and friends left isn't going to be fixed in a single summer, unfortunately. You're right, mate. But it's one of them ones where, like Wan-Bissaka, Everton were interested. Now, obviously, they were taking a little bit more time than Villa. Villa came in. But is it a case of we've just jumped at, right, we get him out, we know he don't want to be here, and we've just gone jump at the first deal rather than trying to see Everton? Because Everton have been linked with him for a good few weeks now.
Yeah, but I think that we're not in a position where we can wait for someone to come in. Do you know what I mean? I think, like you said, Everton have been sniffing around for a couple of weeks. They've not made their move, and I think we're getting into the season. The days are counting down. What we've got, 12 days left of the transfer window, 13 days, something like that. And as much as it annoys me to say is, we need to balance the books finances wise, because obviously we're under a different scrutiny now with the finances. So maybe we're sort of forcing our hand a bit to get these players gone, because as we said before, having bad apples will spoil the dressing room. And maybe they're now looking at, look, let's get, they've come in, they're the only ones. Okay, there is interest from other football clubs, but these are the only ones that have said, we want him, we want to take him. And now we're sitting there thinking, well, we've got to get these players out to have any chance of getting anyone else in.
I just look at it, even Tadibo, right? Tadibo's someone we want to get off the books. He was linked with Man United, but they couldn't sign him because of the situation. Now we've loaned him. But not only have we loaned him, we're still paying part of his wages.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's been reported. So it's like we ain't even been able to get any money for him or completely get his wages off the books. So I start to be a bit concerned. And I see someone in the comments said we don't need any more money this season. We do, because we're having to now pivot from Parrot to Pirro to save money, and it's been reported, so we can spend it on other areas of the pitch. And guess what? Now it's looking like Alvarez is going. We're going to need to spend a lot of money. We sold Freddie Potts.
Yep.
And flipping Alvarez is going. And apparently Magassa's going.
Yeah.
3 DMs in one window.
And this is the thing though, Dan. This is what goes back to that comment there of the mismanagement of the squad, and on poor recruitment, that you're overloaded in certain areas and underweight in others. And it's silly now with the situation we're in. If they must have known Bagassa was interested in going. They must have known Alvarez. You can't tell me Alvarez just changed his mind in the space of a week. He played against Portsmouth, played quite well, and then straight away, the next week he's left himself out of the squad. What is going on behind the scenes? What is it that we're not seeing? Is there agents that are causing this rift? Is the fact that these players have not got no faith in the manager and they want out the door? Do you know what I mean? There's so many things that need answering in my mind, because like I said,
really starting to change since flipping Niels Kloppen is coming in and start, because everything seemed like we handled it really well, smooth, got these sales done, got good money for players, and now it's looking like a bit of a mess. And you're right, like when you sell Freddie Potts, surely if you sell him, you're like, well, we've got 2 other players in that position, at least one. Magassa might go, Alvarez will stay, or vice versa. But to sell him and you haven't even got assurances over the other 2 players in that position is mad. Like, to lose 3 defensive midfielders in one window, and now it means we're going to have to sign at least 2. Because what we had there, I mean, you look at Kante's maybe a bit box to box, but we haven't really got anyone other than them that's like a proper holding midfielder. Really, like you got Ward-Prowse sort of plays that position. Yeah, but he's not someone that I look at in the role of a traditional holding midfielder that's going to protect the back.
He's not an Alvarez, is he? Ward-Prowse is more of your sort of deep lying midfielder who picks the balls up off the off the centre halves and looks to pick a pass. He's not that one that's going to sit in there and act as your third centre back when the fullbacks get forward, stuff like that. You know, we have got Souček to come back, and you know the comment there when you look at it, you got Engels as well to come in. But like you said, that holding midfielder, unless we're not going to play a holding midfielder, unless we're going to go for box to box type players. You know, which then for me, you can't have overlapping fullbacks because you're going to leave your defence exposed.
Yeah. No, that's it. Like you need someone, I think, in the midfield that is decent defensively, that can put the tackles in, you know, win balls and start attacks and offer some sort of protection. It don't have to be like an all-out defensive midfielder.
No.
But someone like, even the thing is with Fernandes, you know, he was someone that, as creative as he was going forward, like he would put tackles in and do the defensive work. But it just seems a bit mad that we haven't got any options now for a defensive midfielder. And I think Alvarez, it's massively disappointing from him, you know, pushing to leave, and especially at this stage when he could have made that abundantly clear earlier in the window, and then we get to this stage, and now you're doing it. And the same with Magassa. And look, Magassa's, I can't blame him as much because he's not. He just doesn't seem figured in, and he ain't been getting game time anyway.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, Dan, is like you said, it's Potts going was because Nuno was unsure on whether he's going to start him. Right. So then you're looking at, okay, was that because of Alvarez? He thought Alvarez was staying, or is that because he's looking at Orford and Kante to be in front of Potts in that 11? You know, within the squad, because from what I've seen of Orford and Kante, I think we can do well. Put some experience alongside them, or even just have one of them playing alongside a more experienced centre midfielder. It can work. You know, when you look at it, you've got those two. You've got Engels coming in. You've got Souček coming back. You've got Ward-Prowse. That's your 5 centre midfielders. Granted, you're saying, you know, I agree with you. We haven't got what we'd recognise as an out-and-out holding midfielder.
There's no Declan Rice.
No, that's it. But you've got to, you know, you've got to look at it. To replace a player of that quality, you need 2 midfielders that are going to do the same amount of work that one midfielder did. There's no club in England that could replace a Declan Rice.
No, but we got in Alvarez, who does. He's obviously not as good as Declan Rice.
Realistically, he only does one side of it. He only does the holding midfield role.
Yeah, well, listen, he there was a point where he did like to go and get forward, and it's much to our detriment when he did do that. But that was because Mavropanos also got forward. But yeah, like it's having someone like, and that's the thing with Alvarez, he brought that grit and that fight in midfield. And you get rid of him now, like you can get in Engels, and you can have none of them are going to do what he did, and that is something we need in the Championship. Yeah.
And this is it, mate. You're relying now on James Ward-Prowse to be doing that. Let's say you got to look at it, and it's not going to work. No. You know, and I think it does really mess up. You know, it seems Nuno wants to play 4-4-2. I don't feel comfortable going into this season with the midfield that with more with the wide players that we've got to be able to consistently play a 4-4-2.
Yeah. It's concerning, and we've still got 12 days to sort it, but it feels like we've got a lot of work to do, because the thing is, after that Burnley game, we was complaining about how weak the bench is and how poor the squad depth is as it is. Now you're seeing Wan-Bissaka out, Todibo out, Fulkrug out, Alvarez out, Magassa out. These are all potentially. You know, now we're going in and we're going to need to fill the positions we had needed to refill already, and then sign replacements.
Yeah.
And who knows if Tati is going to go, or Pablo. They've been linked with moves as well. Like, we don't know.
And this is it, mate. This is now the concern. You know, you look at them 5 players you mentioned there. Take Fulkrug out of it, because I don't think Fulkrug is even good enough for the Championship, to be honest. You look at it there. Wan-Bissaka goes straight into your starting 11, drops down. You've got a quality right back on the bench. Then Magassa comes in, probably sits on the bench, Alvarez goes straight into your starting 11. So then you've got an Orford or Kante sitting on the bench. So again, your bench is improving. So that's the thing there, because none of them players were involved at the weekend. And that's why we look paper thin. But having them players there boosts your bench, boosts the squad size, and gives us a lot more depth than what we're going into the season with. And now you're sitting there, mate, and I'm getting worried now, because I still feel we need 6 players. And 6 players of good championship quality.
And the issue is we're sort of moving like money is a severe problem.
Mm-hmm.
Pivoting from Parrot to Piero because of money.
Yep.
And then the way that we're looking, apparently we're trying to wait towards the end of the window. We're working to bring on players towards the end, and we're looking at loans from Premier League clubs and want away Prem clubs. And if that is this is what Irons Watch are reporting, but that is going to be our recruitment strategy, out of favour Premier League players who represent value in the market, like Piero and Solomon. If that is our strategy, mate, we're going to have a massive championship level type player hole in the squad of that, what you was just saying about. If we're just going for out of favour players in the Prem, you're not getting that championship quality, that championship experience, that championship grit and fight.
The thing is when you look at Solomon and Piero, they've both got championship experience. They've both done well playing in the championship. So if you're getting players like that, that could work. Because we said we see with Solomon on Saturday what he brings. Piero will bring goals. He was really, really good for Swansea when I see him playing, and I watched him a couple of times for Swansea playing in the championship. And he then went to Leeds, and obviously he's not got the cut for the Premier League, but championship level, he's decent enough. So if you're looking at that way,
experience, but are they? Where you think about that player, that championship player, that's basically, they've been championship for years, season upon season. They know the league inside and out. They've got a bit of bollocks about them. I think Piero, signing him, I think it is a good signing, because him and Solomon have an established partnership, and both of them, as someone said there, he won the Golden Boot for the championship. So that is good.
Piero can play on the right as well, mate. That's the other key component in that. He can play on the right if need be. So that's what you got to look at. He's a good player to have within the squad, because he's got a bit of versatility about him, which is what we need. But the worrying thing for me is you're now not going to go and steal a decent championship level player off of another championship club unless you're going to play over the odds. Because these squads are now getting settled. Players are not going to want to. Teams are not going to want to let players go to us because they see us as promotion rivals. And like you said, everyone's going to want to do one over on West Ham this season, because we're as sounding very big-headed as part of a West Ham fan, but we are the big fish in a smaller pond.
We are, yeah.
And this is it. This is exactly. And that's now the problem. So now you're then looking at, right, well, if we're going to do that strategy of looking who's out of favour in the Premier League, there's only a limited amount of players that you could probably sit there and say are good enough at the championship level. You can't sit there and say, like you said, you're going to that of favour players. It's tough to then get one that's not played in the championship before. Because even bringing Ingles is a risk, because he's played Scottish Prem. I know he had a good World Cup, but how many times do we see players off the back of a World Cup get signed to a club and do absolutely terrible?
And Celtic fans say he's inconsistent. That was their gripe with him, inconsistency. And Trod brings up a good point as well. Just say this on Piero, that he does little outside the box. We needed another Antonio. That he is one of them sort of fox in the box type players, and that's what I was saying the other day. Is Parrot was that player that would do more outside the box, that would do dog work and things like that. And I don't mind having Piero as an option of someone like that. It's good to have a different type of striker, and if especially if you keep in Tatty, but it's just that pivot to someone so different. That's the weird thing for me with Piero.
The thing for
but
me,
we have to, don't you think? And I'll just say this, Scott. I'll ask you this: then don't you think we have to change our approach? Then, if you're going to have a player like that, how we play, if you got Pirro up front,
Not really, because he's an upgrade on Pablo. Let's be honest. If you're
but
playing
Pablo
Pablo,
does the legwork.
yeah, but so does Tatty. So
Yeah,
you could then put Tatty in a number 10, and there's Pirro as your number 9.
yeah,
That's what you got to look at. Pirro is an upgrade on Pablo, without fail. He's a better goal scorer and probably a better player. So
yeah. I mean, that's not hard.
no, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what you've got to look at, and that's what we need to be sitting there to look into bringing. You've now got to look at the weaker links within that 11. As much as the squad's got to be fluffed up a bit, you've got to look at the weaker links in the 11 that we saw on Saturday and deal with them holes first. And I think bringing Pirro in to replace Pablo is great. As I said, he can play out wide right. I think he does do a bit more. He doesn't do I don't think he really does the defensive side of the game, but he has a bit more about his game than what people are thinking. As I said, I see him a couple of seasons ago for Swansea, and he did look very, very good. So, obviously that was 2 seasons ago. It's a long time, and we know how things can change in the course of a couple of seasons. But again, he's probably a player that's going to come in with a bit of point to prove.
Yeah. I think Gesdale, makes a good point.
100%.
50. It's a lot of football to play, and a very thin squad. So we've got a lot of work to do in this transfer window. So much work. Get Pirro through the door. Great. We need to be getting that done and sealed up before Charlton. But there is so much more to be done. And as someone said, that still needs some more pace in the team.
Yeah.
Because that's a problem, when it comes to attack, and we saw at Burnley, just that lack of just directness and that.
But even when, because we know what Nuno's tactics are like, the way he likes to try and defend the lead and the negative side of the game that he does, we need more pace in the side, because if you're going to do that and you've got to play on the counter, you need to have pace in your side. You can't play on the counter without pace. And that's got to be a key thing. For me, mate, I think we don't know what's going on with Disasi, whether he's coming or not. So we should be looking to get another centre back, definitely. We need cover at right back. We need cover at right wing. We need another CDM, and we still possibly need another striker.
Yeah. Well, and if Ward-Prowse is leaving, like that's flipping 4 midfielders.
I can't see that. They surely can't be letting him go as well.
This is madness. Listen, I will be glad in the fact of it means that we'll never have to see him on the right wing, right midfield again.
Yeah, I don't want to see him there, but he's an asset playing centre midfield.
Yeah, of course. It's madness. It is madness. We might have to bring back a preview for the Charlton game later in the week. Might have to preview that one, Scott. But yeah, so if you're right. It's like if we get rid of, Freddie Potts, Alvarez, Magassa, and Ward-Prowse, that we're gonna need to completely rebuild that midfield.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
That's in absolute insanity. So, we've got to go and get I hope there is a plan. We brought in Niels Kloppin. We brought in this guy from Southampton for his championship experience. This recruitment guy. We're supposed to be doing this data-led approach now. We need to see the fruits of it, because if we just wait and we just try and still feels a bit Sullivanish, now. It's starting to feel like Sullivan again.
More Sullivan now than it's ever done, mate. Let's be honest. This is the signing of the players, trying to scrimp and save over a couple of million, going in and offering below what the asking price is, trying to get a good deal. It's
going to a completely different type of option when you don't, that's cheaper, but nothing like the other striker he was going for, scattergun.
Yeah,
right.
This is it, mate. This is the dartboard again, full of faces, and let's see where the dart lands first. And if we don't get that one, we'll go to the second one. No plan, no concept. That's what it's starting to look at, and it's concerning, very, very concerning.
Mate, there is no excuse for us to not get what we need in this window, with everything that's in stake and knowing the cost of not going up. It's crazy. And yeah, like look, the 50,000 season ticket holders, people signed up on the belief that Sullivan stepped down and we were doing things in a new way. You have to back those and reward those fans for the loyalty, you know. You crazy. It's Harrison for the 499 super chat. Thank you, Harrison. We're talking about transfers, but we need a new gaffer. I think I'd rather Nicky. Hopefully, he's not watching. God,
Nicky. If we ever get to that level, mate.
Yeah, he agreed with the Ward-Prowse substitution. But yeah, like I'm not ready to say Nuno out, but because I just can't see it at this stage in the window, one game into the season. I can't see it, but like I said, I'm not far off it. I'm not far off it,
mate. I haven't got off that. I haven't got off the Nuno out at all. So I put it in the chat on the thingy as soon as he made that substitution at half time. I put it in the chat. I'm sticking by it at the minute. I said he's done nothing. I was giving him a clean slate, completely clean slate. This start of the season, within one game, he's gone back to exactly what he did.
He shit all over your clean slate. Yeah. He shit all over it. And
mate, 18 months he's been a bad manager. 18 months. And he's still in a job.
He's definitely, I've said this, probably tactically one of the worst managers we've ever had, if not the worst manager. I mean,
his in-game management is the worst I've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
And we've seen some crap at West Ham.
Yeah, it is horrific. It is absolutely horrific. So yeah, look, I completely understand the fact that, you know, wanting Nuno out, because, and this is what I said to people, when people say to me it's one game, it's not one game. It's 34 games, you know, because he picked us up 5 games into last season.
Mm-hmm. So and the thing is, mate, everyone forgets that last from January onwards for Forest, he was terrible.
Yeah,
they went.
That's
from
it. Once they figured him out, once they worked him out,
Champions League contenders to qualify, scraping to qualify for the Conference League, and then getting Europa League through the fact that they complained about Palace.
Yeah,
so that's
back door. Marinakis got him Europa League.
Exactly.
Nuno got him in the conference from. So, and that is so Nuno, right? It's like, you know, you're up there. You're in cruise control for Champions League, and then you drop so far, and then now you're in the Conference League. That is like his in-game management. You know, you're in cruise control in the game, you're winning, you're playing well, and then he torpedoes it and sabotages it. Yeah. So yeah, he's big response, Charlton. But look, we'll just keep on top of seeing what this situation is. I don't know whether players, you know, were promised more. Bowen was obviously promised a lot, because when he met with Kretinsky, he said how much Kretinsky told him about the ambitions he has for the club, and that convinced him to sign. And we're not really seeing that ambition.
And now, Dan, the thing is as well, is this all the other takeover stuff now getting in the way?
Yeah, which is,
you know, that asks another question now.
Yeah. This is why I just felt like we needed to hear something from Kretinsky, just to doesn't have to give us all the information, but just say, look, I'm still massively committed to the club. We're working on things behind the scenes. Please be patient. You know, just something. But it's nothing. And we're just left to wonder, going, well, was it all talk? Has he lost interest? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly, mate. And that's it. And that's the problem. We need someone to come out and tell us what's going on, because it's not looking good at the minute.
Yeah. No, you're right, mate. You're right. Real concerning. It's concerning. So hopefully we just go and smash Charlton and we start to sign players. Hopefully Engels turns out to be a real gem, because we're going to need him in that midfield. Guys, crazy times at West Ham. It's a roller coaster, because we was on. You know what? It seems like a long time ago that we was on cloud 9 earlier on in the summer, you know.
Exactly. We've reverted back. You know, I don't like. I was Mr. Positive of this channel. I was the most positive person on this channel, and for the past 2 seasons, I think I've took over Nicky's role as being Mr. Negative.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
You know,
Since we signed Potter, mate, it's this surge has changed you.
I've never been right so much in my life, mate.
Yeah, that's what it is. If you want to be right, when it comes to West Ham, if you want to be right, just be negative.
Yeah,
You're going to be proven right at some point.
10 years of predicting us we're going to win the league after every game, mate. To doom and gloom.
Mate, we're going to do predictions soon. We just got that'll be a fun one. But obviously, we're going to wait to see what comes in. But we'll do our season predictions, and that should be fun. So yeah, honestly, let's see what happens, guys. You know, thank you all for joining us. Do check out OK Jersey, code Nicky10. Go get your West Ham shirts, and all of that sort of thing. And your internationals, your non-West Hams. We've got some Forest fans, if you're a Villa fan, whatever. Go get it out, Nicky10. You can check out on Lawless Live my video with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy, and we was talking about if we was arguing about Eddie Howe as a possibility coming to West Ham. And they don't think it's possible. I think certain things need to happen for that to be possible. But yeah, go check out Lawless Live. Check that out. It was a lot of fun. It was a good laugh. Yeah, and thanks for jumping on, Scott.
That's right, mate. No, it's good to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's therapy. People don't like moan, but we're British. We love a good moan. It makes us feel better.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to bring the positivity Friday night, mate. Don't worry, that's coming.
Well, I don't know, Scott. There's a lot. It's a long time between now and Friday. West Ham can do a lot more to drain us. So yeah, shout out to everyone. Thanks for the super chats, normal chats. Do like and subscribe. You guys are really stingy with the likes, I've noticed, compared to other channels, right? So I'm going to be on your case more with these likes because I know you're capable of it. So yeah, do hit the likes and subscribes. Thank you all for watching. One thing left to say. Come on, you Irons.